Hello traders and investors, LA here. This is your nightly NeoTA wrap. Looking at these markets from a neoclassical perspective, we're looking at supply and demand on the charts, folks. And I'm going to get right into it here at S&P 500. So you've had a nice big steep rise. And part of that rise has come off the back of another breakout. So the angle of ascent, right, is always something you want to look at, right? You get an angle of ascent, right, a steep one. It's hard to maintain. That's what you have again. You can usually expect some sort of an attempt to go sideways, pull back, right? And then that's when you find out whether it can actually go or if you're going to get a deeper retrace. Right now, this thing's holding, right? You got a breakout here. You did a retest on it once already. You got a steep angle of ascent. And what you're looking for is some sort of reversal sign. You actually get it tonight. 2-bar reversal again. This is a, and again, we're not that extended yet, but in my mind, this qualifies in terms of price. But what doesn't qualify is the volume, right? You have more volume. So you get over it, back under it, but you have more volume. That says you can go higher. So even though you got the over, the under, it would have set up the 2-bar, you got the volume characteristics wrong. And that kind of negates it. Moving over to the Nasdaq. Now on the Nasdaq, you don't even get the 2-bar, and you do have a volume increase there as well. On the NDX, same sort of thing. You go over the top yesterday, and today you're back under it, but you have a bit more volume. And turning to the Russell, you got the same sort of action with a little doji up there at the top. You know, folks, if you pull these things back, you look at the weeklies, you look at the monthlies, these stocks have been on a pretty good tear, right? I mean, they had those lows back in November and took off. And then since then, it's been pretty much up, right? I mean, so in particular case here, the Russell is 2016. Here's the low in November. And it's been pretty much a straight up move. It looks even more impressive if you go to something like the NDX or the Nasdaq and pull it back to like a monthly on that and look at it. It's a fascinating and strong run. Let's look at the sectors. The earnings have been pretty much sold. As a matter of fact, actually, tonight, let's do something different. Let's just go over the earnings. I'll pop in the latest earnings here that have been coming out. And I'll just kind of go back in series. I'll start with like Wells Fargo. That was a week ago, last Friday. And a week ago, Wells Fargo, it didn't get a bad move to the downside, but did get a push to the downside, right? It's just kind of drifting back in. In the case of Wells Fargo, it's actually done a bullish retest regen that failed. So you got up underneath it and you stayed under it. So that one says, Wells Fargo is not going anywhere probably. JP Morgan is another one that reported the same day. If we go look at that one, right? The JP Morgan chart has actually held up, because you hadn't even got back to the retest regen. So you got that big spike up here. That's this bar, and it's held that bottom so far. So far, JP Morgan, doing pretty good. But it did sell down. That was the point, right? It did sell down off the news. And you see it over and over again. Here's Citigroup, same thing, right? It's not bad. I mean, think about what's happened, right? You've had the run up, right? And now you're just getting the retrace, and the earnings can't pop it up higher. It's not a bad or good. It's just what is. And what is stocks have had a big run. Earnings are not pushing them higher. And they're coming back. They're fading back in, right, to areas that you would expect. As they come back in to do their bullish retest regens, many of these stocks, just like this one on Citigroup, has not tested yet. That means the first trip back should get bought. Odds are favorable for that. So this fade that's coming back in, when it gets there, it's going to be a good setup to do a buy. And that's true on chart after chart after chart. That's where we are, folks. That's where you should be focused. You want to look at post-earnings, not pre. Those that are about to report, odds are they're going to do just like what most of the rest of these did, and that is they're going to come in. For every one that you're going to get that goes up, you're going to get 4 or 5 that come in. And so it's not worth playing alongside, not at this time. That's it for tonight and for this week. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Good night.